Hey there, this is Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. It is Wednesday, the first Wednesday in June, so a happy June, the month of June to you, for those I haven't seen in a minute. And it feels like it's been a long time, but it really hasn't. It's just been like 2 weeks. But anyway, I am your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. And Wednesday for Write It Out is the day that we come on. They put you back at the top of your writing list. It's where we help you figure out what you need to do, give you some helpful tips and hints and things that just help push you further in getting your stories done. Now, for those that don't know me, I work with writing and time-challenged busy professionals, helping them get their stories told and their books published. I have been writing in various capacities myself for over 40 years. That's a long time. I'm the author of 2 books of my own, but I have helped publish since 2019 about 20 books now. I think we might have hit 21 in the past couple of weeks. And taking these authors from idea to publish, and we also have about 8 in the works now. So it is my goal to help you get across the finish line, to be able to write the end at the end of your book for the next one that you might be doing. But just love what I'm doing, and so it's an honor to share with you. So thank you always for joining me. Now, if you know someone that's out there that needs to write a book, or they've been talking about writing a book, tell them to click on the link, or you can share it with them to let them know what's going on. Now, as a book coach, one of the most sacred parts of what I get to do is listen on people's life stories. And so today, the topic that I have, and it's been kind of coming around and you've heard it in different ways, but the thought that came to me is what triggers you? Okay, what triggers you? And I bring that up because, like I was saying, I have the honor of being a part of many discussions and conversations as my authors work out their books. And many times the process of writing their books, sometimes the stories that they're working out, it brings back memories. It brings back dates and smells and all kinds of things as they're going back in their memories, in their present, in their past, with other people, other family members or friends, about things that happened to them, because many of my authors write nonfiction books. And so they're telling stories. They're telling stories maybe about what happened to them, their experience, their education, different things that bring back memories. And so I just want to say, for the last 2 days, so today is June 2nd, but on June 1st and on May 31st, those were triggers for the Tulsa Race Massacre that happened on those dates 100 years ago in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they've had a commemoration of that. And in fact, one of my authors, Miss Hilda Boulware, is a descendant of Black Wall Street. So that was a devastating incident that occurred in which the entire community was burnt to the ground. I think there was only the church that remains to this day, as they try to rebuild it. But, all the lives, thousands of businesses just burnt down, all kinds of homes, thousands, over 10,000 people lost their homes, and over 300 people were killed. And so that's a trigger for all of the descendants. There were a number of people who were survivors. I think there were 3 survivors of that 1921 incident, and they have been on speaking platforms and things over this past Memorial Day weekend. And the thing about it is, it's a huge issue. What is triggering these things? And it's just the truth. We have not been able to tell the truth in our country about many things. And so it's amazing because so many people are I never heard this story. But the thing, even my client wrote about it, and I've heard it from my parents who grew up in the Jim Crow South, is that they were not encouraged to talk about these things. They don't, just put it aside, don't talk, it was so bad. They don't want to remember. But the thing about it is, even if you don't talk about it, it may manifest in different ways. And another incident that just happened recently in the news is the beautiful tennis player Naomi Osaka, who has withdrawn from the French Open. And the thing about that is, with these celebrities, when they win, there's lots of media attention, there's lots of interviews, there's lots of stuff that's happening. The cameras are in your face, the lights are in your face, the media, the magazines, all kinds of things want you, they want you, they want. pieces of you. And too often, too many pieces of you, and there's nothing left. And that could be what happened. That she made the decision that, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I know that this is your contract. This is the way you do things, but that's not working for me. And she took a stand. And so the thing about it is, because those things were triggering something in her that she did not want and she did not like. And so she talked about depression. She talked about different things. And the thing is, when these things happen, you have to allow that person to take a stand for themselves. And we have to be okay with that. And I bring that up because I want to say, even to the authors, that sometimes in writing your story, you might need a moment, to process. Like, you could be going fine for 1 or 2 chapters, and then you hit one particular one where you have to deal with maybe something that you thought you were over or thought you were done with, but it brings back all kinds of memories. It brings back maybe hurt or disappointment or pain, or it just makes you stop. You could even be crying or angry, and so the thing is, it's like these memories triggered something in you. Okay. And the thing about it, what are the triggers? What triggers you even? Now, for instance, often triggers can be associated with a date. When I mentioned the Tulsa Race Massacre, that was May 31st through June 1st, 1921. So 100 years later, these prior 2 days, that was a trigger for remembering an event that occurred in the history of America in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but it also triggered in other people for who are the descendants of other places for which similar things happen, and it's got people talking about it and making people want to know more, and causing them to search and look and ask their family members, ask their elders, is there something, there's their story you never told. And so, so the dates, anniversary dates, the loss or trauma of something. Coming through this pandemic, we're moving forward. Many people have gotten their vaccinations, but many people lost their lives over these past 15 months, as well as, people who died from other things. And so the dates of these occurrences are triggers for some people. We just had Mother's Day last month, and Father's Day is coming up this month. Those are triggers from people, whether their parents are alive or whether they had a challenged relationship with their parents growing up, or even as adults. So dates are often triggers for certain things. Other things are frightening news events, as we shared about the Tulsa situation, but, the January 6th riots, fires in California, floods, hurricanes. I remember when we first had that tsunami out in the Indian Ocean, it was like, oh my God, we had never seen anything like that. And so frightening events that occur, and the fact that news is 24/7, you will see it over and over and over again. So I caution you that sometimes you have to turn it off. Okay. And then another trigger could be feeling overwhelmed, having too many things to do. Now, that's one of the ones that I have to stay careful and mindful of, because that's a trigger for me. Doing way too many things, it's like, or not being able to get through my list, or when, support is not there that I need, being able to say what needs to be done, what can be put off till a different time, who can I outsource this to, who can support, what are the things that I can do so I'm not triggered by being overwhelmed by things. Because we don't have to be overwhelmed. We can say, does this need to be done? What 3 things can I do towards my goal, towards this list, towards cleaning up my house, towards meal planning, towards exercising, whatever the thing is, towards writing my book, okay? For all my authors out there, what 3 things can you do? Is your cover done? Can we work on your cover? You've got some ideas. Is your title completed? Did you need to do a subtitle? What 3 things can you do that maybe won't take as much energy and time as writing, but you can start thinking about it. Like, you may want to put some pictures in your book. So maybe take some time and gather your pictures. That's a way to reduce and lessen the overwhelm that might be occurring because of maybe what you were writing. Okay. And that kind of goes with family friction and relationships, that those things can cause there to be triggers. Someone might say something or do something that reminds you of something else. I remember I used to lead a drama group, and we did a play one time, and I actually used furniture from my own house. I live close to the location we did the play at. but we put plastic over the sofa. We had certain foods that we warmed up so it could smell like a certain house. And it was, and the people in the audience was like, oh my God, that looked like my grandma's house, or that looked like my mom's house when I was growing up, and those were triggers for them. And so it reminded them of childhood memories. We had like Rock'em Sock'em Robots on it and other toys from a past generation that reminded them of times past or when they were young. And so triggers can be, things that deal with family and relationships. And, maybe you hear a song. It was the song from your prom. You went, with your high school sweetheart to the prom. So you hear a certain piece of music, or you go past a location, you remember, oh my God, that's where we were. Or, you learn to roller skate somewhere, or any number of things. And the thing about it is, like, that's a trigger, a location, a setting, a song, but also, being judged or criticized. If you hear too much criticism, even if someone may think they're teasing, like, that can trigger you. You're like, wait a minute, okay, that's not funny now. Let's stop it. So being able to put that boundary up to say, I don't really appreciate that. That doesn't really work for me. And being able to say what it is that you need. Financial problems can be a trigger, physical illness, as we were talking about. And so, and again, certain smells or taste or sounds. So all of these things can trigger things, whether they're positive or negative, and I know that in writing, like I was saying, that there are triggers in our writing that cause us to move in one direction or not. We can even be stopped. Now, I just want to say that this is not a counseling session. And because, as I stated, but triggers can happen in writing the book. I remember I did a live on the 5 stages of writing a book. There was like excitement, and there was momentum, and then there was dread, because you're like, what have I got myself into? And then there's fear, like, oh God, I got deadlines, it's almost done. And then, once we get that all done, then number 5 is release. Because you've done it. You've birthed that baby. And so the thing is, some of those steps and part of that process can trigger some things in you. And so we just want to make sure that they're good triggers. And so the thing that I say, because we all have triggers, good or bad, different things like music, like, I know my mom is like, oh, when it rains, oh, it triggers something in her knee. Okay, might be some arthritis or something like that, but the thing is, I want to share with you five ways to overcome the triggers in a good way so you can get to the end, okay? Because we're talking about books here. But 5 ways, and it'll help you in other ways too, but to overcome the triggers in your life so you can get to the end. So the thing is, you have to have a plan for what comforts you when the trigger occurs, okay? Try to have a plan, because often we do know what triggers us, and even some people may even say that. It's like, oh, if you do that, this is going to happen. Oh, don't take the last this, oh, if you don't put toilet paper back on a toilet roller, that's going to trigger somebody saying something. Or you leave your shoes in the middle of the floor, or you don't make the bed, or whatever it is. It could be something in the workplace. People don't fill up the copy machine, or whatever, don't clean up after themselves in a general public area. So things like that can trigger people, for various reasons. Like, well, when I grew up, like, we had to clean up everything, and so I'm not used to stuff being messy, whatever it is. But I'm going to give you 5 ways to overcome the triggers in a good way so that you can get to the end, okay? And so the thing is, number 1, stop and take a rest. All right, stop and take a rest. Why? Because a nap does wonders. The older I get, the more I appreciate naps. Probably when I was young, like most kids, I don't want to take a nap. I don't want to take a nap. Now it's like, can I get a quick nap in? Sometimes you just need to rest. And I know that when I stop, when I rest, when I lay my head down, that often that the ideas come, the rest come. I feel my body releasing. I feel the triggers releasing. So all, even if my shoulders were up here, they start coming back down. Normal. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. And so it's like we need to stop and rest. We live in a world, and even though we've been shut down, that people are so excited to get right back up again, to get back out there to start doing all these things. But it's like, that's where we were before. So I would caution you that even in your getting back out there, that you remember that sometimes things will trigger you just going out, wearing masks. Are you going to be triggered by all the people that's trying to be close now since you've been far away from people for a while? That could be a new trigger. But if it's a trigger, do number one, stop and rest. Okay? Take a nap or just have a seat. Sit on your porch, your stoop, your step, look out the window, whatever it is you need to do, just stop and take a rest. Okay? Number two, do something physical. So we go from rest to, the thing about it is sometimes exercise also can do wonders. It gets your endorphins up, it gets your mind, it moves things, it gets the energy going, so whether it's exercise, taking a walk, you might want something, vigorous, you might do a Zumba class, you can dance in your house. Many people like TikTok and all the dancing that's been done over the pandemic because people are home, it adds joy. It's something to laugh about because nobody's going to be perfect. Or you can take there are professional classes online that you can do some things. So whatever you do, move your body, get the body moving, do something to get you engaged because it helps to clear your mind. It helps to move that energy around so that, all the things that are triggering you can come down. Okay. So that's number two. Number three, listen to some music. So now that we're moving, we're doing stuff, music, it's going to make a difference. Okay. It's like putting on some good music because the thing about it, a lot of my dancing happens in the car where my music is. I don't necessarily listen to a lot of music at home, but it's like when I'm in my car, it's like all my good songs come on. So I remember, and I have a Zumba class that, unfortunately, like most things shut down during the pandemic, but there's a song that whenever I hear it, I do the Zumba moves in the car. It's that song goes with that Zumba dance class, and so every time I hear that song, I start doing the moves. And so, and it also brings joy. It brings the energy. It puts all the negative stuff, pushes it down and allows the joy to rise. And sometimes we just have to pull away from things. We get so engaged, so caught up. We got these lists, got to get this done, got to get this done, got to get, and it's just like, okay, what 3 things can I do today? All right, what 3 things can I do today? Did I get them done? Okay, did I get them done? It's like, if not, okay, add that to the list for tomorrow. Did you get 2 of the 3 done? Okay, maybe 1 of the 3. Okay, but again, are the other 2 things, are the one thing something you need to get done? Because sometimes we need to adjust our priorities. That sometimes we put things on our list that, were important at the time, but are they? Are they necessary? Do you have to do them? And that's a big one. Do you have to do them? Because sometimes somebody else can take care of it. Sometimes you're doing things you don't have to do because you want to do them, but it's taking a lot of energy. It's causing stress. It's causing anxiety. It becomes a trigger because you can be, every time I do this, da 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 da. Okay, well, what about if you don't do that? What about if he's like, you know what? Nope. They usually take the trash out. Let them. Oh man, the trash. It's like, no. It's like, what can you do so that the triggers are removed? Okay, we're doing 5 ways to comfort you when a trigger occurs because we want you to be free, flowing, ideas circulating, coming to write your book. And if all these triggers are happening, we need to figure out ways that we can channel it into a better direction. So that was 3. Number 4, prayer or meditation. And this is definitely a way that you can bring things down, bring focus. Because a lot of times, we're triggered because we're not focused. Everything is connecting, and distracting us and causing there to be drama in our life because we're not focused. And so being able to focus on what we need, being able to do that thing that we need to do, often can require prayer, getting silent, going to a higher source. It's like we don't have all the answers, but God does. So being able to just commune or meditate, it's like, because a lot of times the answers come, like I was saying, when we stop and when we're quiet, when we pray, when we meditate, when we think about things that are higher than us, that's greater than us, that's bigger than us. And then we don't have to feel like we're carrying the weight of the world. Okay? Because we can't. Our shoulders are puny. They definitely can't carry it all. And then the 5th thing, because I said I was giving you 5 things that you can do to comfort you when a trigger occurs. And that's write it out. Okay, write it out. Write your feelings out in your journal for at least about a half an hour. And just get them out of you and onto paper. Because a lot of times the triggers are in us. So we need to get it out of us. It's in us in how we think and what we're saying to ourselves and what we're talking out to ourselves. So the thing about it is, what can you say on paper. What thoughts are in your head? What are the things that are circulating in your mind, in your heart, that you need to get out on that paper so it's no longer in you? Because sometimes the act of writing it out, physically writing it out, releases it from you. Because so many times we hold things in, we carry things. We're these containers. We're containers of triggers. We're containers of stuff that sometimes if we just get it out, we'll feel the release of what we need to do. And so those are my 5 points for you that we've been talking about. What triggers you? We've had lots of things. We had the commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre that caused some triggers for people, for the survivors, the 3 survivors who have been on local news and national news talking about what it was like. The fear, the violence, and all the things that they had, those memories. It triggered those memories again from when they were little kids. But yet the memories were there, and it triggered just all the feelings they had. And these 99, 107, they were elderly, And then we talked about Naomi Osaka, that all the press, all the things that happen when you win, when you're at this height, that though physically your body may be doing 100%, but mentally you might need a break. It was like, because a lot of sports is also a mental game, and so the energy, they may see the physical energy, that's being expressed, but they don't see the mental energy that also. And sometimes your brain needs to rest from people questioning you, rest from people asking you, well, what do you think? Well, what about this? And da. It's like, okay, I went out there, I played, I did my job. Give me a minute. That's not to say she's never going to come back, but in that moment, she's like, no, stop. I need to stop, And so we applaud that and we celebrate, because many times we need to watch other people do what we need to do, which is to say, you know what, that's enough. I need myself to be okay. My own, self-worth, my own, mental health, and we know that that's a huge issue now, that a lot of things and people during the pandemic even are experiencing, mental health issues. They're seeing therapists during this time. They're taking the time to be like, you know what, whether it's been good being inside or, quarantine or not, that a lot has been going on. And even, one of the triggers that, that, like I was saying earlier, is that the stories and the things that are coming out, I believe that there are going to be just so many more stories, so many more books to come, because I can imagine just all the stories, all the stuff I've even experienced. Like, there's got to be thousands of books that will be coming out real soon. So if you're one of them, I'm going to put a link down below if you want to get connected, and we can help you go from idea to publish. But those were my 5 points tonight about having a plan of what comforts you when a trigger occurs. So 5 ways to overcome the triggers in a good way and get you to the end. Because I want to get you to the end of that book, the end of that story, the end of that drama, the end of those things triggering you even. Like I said, I'm not a counselor. I recommend you go to one, but I am not one. But the thing about it is, I know from working with my clients, from working with different people, that when we're writing these stories, when we're going deep, when we're having to pull out emotions and feelings and instances and circumstances that you've experienced or that you've dealt with, that it brings up all kinds of triggers for you. Like, you might get mad dealing with this again, and you have the anger feelings all over again. And the thing is, it's a trigger. But the thing is, you sharing that, you putting that out on the page can help someone else. It can help release someone else, because they can be like, wow, they said what I've been feeling inside all this time. They got it out. So we want you to get it out. So let me just quickly recap. So the 5 ways to overcome the triggers in a good way to get you to the end is 1, stop and take a rest. Okay. Like I said, naps do wonders. Naps do wonders. Kids, they know this. Number 2, do some exercise. Move your body, dance, run, walk, stretch, touch your toes, touch whatever you got to do. Make some movement. Okay. Turn some music on. For some people, music, soothes the soul. Okay. It helps you to go to a higher place. So allow music to kind of lift your spirits, to take you into a new dimension, that just sitting and being quiet or something, TV or something just won't do, because songs trigger things. And often, they can trigger sad things, but many times songs remind you of your youth. I know when my parents hear, songs of their youth and different things, it's like they're ready to get on the floor. It don't matter that they're in their 80s. They're dancing back because they're remembering the good times. And then number 4 was prayer and meditation. does a body good. It helps get your mind centered and focused, helps you to lift those burdens, to transfer that weight of what you're carrying, and even to release those triggers. It's like you don't have to be triggered by these things. That there are many things that we can let go of. It doesn't have to be, well, that's just the way I am. That always is going to trigger me. It doesn't have to. You can choose today, what triggers you, or at least turn it for good. Take that trigger that was a negative thing and put it in your book. Show how you can work through that, because that's a first step, because it could help someone else who's being triggered too. It could help them get that story out and say, you know what, this is where I was, but this is where I am now. And then finally, we're going to write it out. And that's what I was just saying. We're going to write it out. We're going to put it on paper, put it in a journal, put it in a notebook, somehow get it out of here, and get it on some paper, because when we get it out of here, it does much more, has much more benefit for other people. It can change the world. Your words can change the world. The world actually was formed by words. So it's like you can speak some things on paper, get it out their heart. I was just reviewing 2 of my clients' books, and oh my God, it's like I want to highlight so many things because the words they're saying, I'm like, quote that. Okay, pull that out. Quote, yeah, quote that. It's so good. It's just like, if anything, I'm like, okay, y'all helping me get my life all together, okay? Get my whole life together, as they say. And so, but I applaud it because they're getting it out of them. They're getting out the things that triggered them. They're getting out of them the things that, caused them to be in a certain place. Because, where we are today is a result of decisions we made. Some of those decisions were based on triggers. This happened, so you did that. That happened, so you did that. But it's like, are you in the place where you want to be now? And so think about it. It's like, are you in the place you want to be now? Are you where you are because of any triggers? And what can you do to get them out? So we're here to help you get them out in a book. Put your life story in a book. Tell your story, get it out. Like I said, I believe that there are so many more stories. I'm here to help 100 times 100 people get their stories out. So if you want to be part of that number, then I'll put a link down below. I'm Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant that I work with writing and time challenge clients, helping them get their stories told and their books published. So I'll see you on the 3rd Wednesday. Have a great evening. Bye.